Welcome to this edition of The Hill with April Ryan. There's a lot to talk about. Let's get right to it. The controversy continues for Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin for not making everyone aware he was undergoing a medical procedure for prostate cancer during the holidays. It was discovered after his health took an unexpected turn and left him in the ICU for 4 days. It is 2024 and the Black agenda is still on the radar for the Biden White House, as many in the Black community are concerned about the erosion of laws and rights regarding first-class citizenship. I asked White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre about it.
If you think about Black unemployment rate is now at 5.9%. When the president walked into the administration, it was at 9.2%. 14 million jobs created and inflation is coming down. That is incredibly important. But as it relates to the Black community, you have 2/3 of new clean energy jobs, for example, are in communities of colors, including about 60,000 in Black communities. All of this is so important. All of the things that we're really trying to do is critical. And we always talk about generational wealth. Generational wealth is so important. So you look at the Black net worth, it's up 60% since the pandemic. So, and you think about housing and ownership and what we have done through HUD, as you know, Secretary Fudge is heading out HUD. And we have done great work on dealing and combating housing discrimination.
Jean-Pierre says she plans to stay in the job despite reports that the National Security Council spokesperson, John Kirby, is vying for the job that is not vacant. Monday is the national holiday for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. If Dr. King had lived, he would have been 95 years old. I spoke with Martin Luther King III, the eldest son of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who says we will still need to close so many gaps in so many areas as poverty, racism, and violence plague Black communities.
I don't believe we are in a posture of celebrating yet, because when we look at where our nation is, and particularly the perception of how far backward we've gone, we need to reassert, re-engage, find a way, first of all, to bring people together. That means that civility has to be reintroduced into the political space. That is not happening at this particular moment, and it may not happen for a little while. But as we approach, Dad means so many things to so many people. But I think first and foremost, it was about bringing people together to fight for justice, to fight for righteousness, to fight for equality. And all of those things should automatically be in place. But guess what? They aren't. We all know that. So when we come to the King holiday, what I always say is we didn't achieve the dream last year. We didn't achieve the fulfillment. But every January we have an opportunity to begin anew. So we have an opportunity this year, once again, to work to ensure that all of us have the right to vote, and we're not segregated and separated, and we're not gerrymandered.
King also says reparations are in order and discussions are a must as a part of unity for this nation. The Biden administration's infrastructure czar is leaving the White House to join the Biden campaign. Mitch Landrieu is now national co-chair for Biden's reelection effort. But as his role changes, he leaves good news about the administration's efforts on the country's infrastructure.
For the last 50 years, presidents have been talking about doing this, and none of them could get it done. And this president came in and said, if you put me in there, I'm going to put the ball in the hoop. And he did. And you can't take this away from him, no matter what you think about my boss. And I happen to love him a lot. But no matter how negative you are about whatever he did, you cannot take this away from him. $1.2 trillion. And we're not talking anymore. We're not talking the talk. We're walking the walk. There are 40,000 projects.
Landrieu says there are 800,000 new construction jobs in this country currently. It is not known how many are directly linked to Biden's infrastructure plan. Remembering a congressional icon, Bernice Johnson. Former Texas Congresswoman Bernice Johnson has passed. She died at the age of 88. theGrio spoke with the Congresswoman on several occasions, including where she reflected on the January 6th insurrection.
When we saw them scale the wall, we knew something was wrong. And I only encountered one who was just walking through the halls, and he looked lost, and the halls were pretty clear. And I asked if I could be of assistance, and so he said he was just looking around. He had gotten a all-expense-paid trip to Washington, and he wanted to see what it looked like. So I told him to have a nice trip, and I went in my office and locked the door.
3 days of services were held this week in memory of the late Congresswoman. Thanks for joining us for this edition of The Hill, where we amplify the news for us and about us. We'll see you next week. Take care. Peace.